Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So Tarun, you need a special invite or what? Shravan is the one person who is always on time. You always come late. So how is your book doing?
Only launch
It went live on Amazon?
tomorrow, 4th July. I've scheduled on 4th July.
Okay, okay. All right. So once it is done, just put it in the group. Um, the team will go ahead and add both of you into the publisher group. So in case
Sure.
you want to go in for the paperback, they can assist you with it. Okay.
Okay.
We're just there as like the silent spectators in that case.
Okay.
Okay. So, Shravan, did you write a story because he was working on it, like so eager to write a fiction book? What happened?
Not yet started, madam.
Do you
Since
have any idea or something? I guess the team must have actually shared the prompts and everything, right?
yeah,
Have they?
yesterday
Yeah.
they
Huh.
have shared it.
So any idea that you have as to like what are you going to write in fiction?
Uh, Not currently. Not I am sure, ma'am, right now, since there was a gap in the sessions, right? So I too was involved in some other things. Due to
Okay.
yeah. So
So
I was
since
also involved in
he was
some
there,
other.
so he has taken some gap in it.
Yeah, yeah.
You also. My God.
Me?
Okay, because I wanted the fiction, non-fiction work to be completed, to be very honest.
Yes,
Because when it's very difficult to write both the books simultaneously. Otherwise, everything will get jumbled up. I guess there is a
yeah,
problem with my camera today. 1 second.
I don't think so. It is good only.
It's
yeah.
good.
For us, it's good.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
good.
Okay. I don't know. The setup has changed, it seems. Okay, so coming back to today's session, what we are going to do is like, see, rest of all of those prompts remain still the same. The only thing that is going to change is how you do research, how do you do outline, and that is specifically for the fiction. Okay, so what we must have shared in the group is like the all the set of prompts that you will have to explore. So in that, if you notice, uh, there is a there is a classic story arc when it comes to like a fiction book. Okay, so I have curated some steps like how do you go about it. I want you to explore all the prompts to understand how what kind of results is it giving. Okay, but right now for demo purpose I will be using just 5 or 6 to go ahead and give you a very brief idea as to how it will work. Other thing is, another session that we will be having is about how to do the editing and proofreading for fiction book, and that is going to happen next week. So but you will be still using all the prompts for the front matter, back matter, the same steps for the formatting, the same steps to go ahead and upload your manuscript on Amazon. Everything else remains the same.
So it means fiction would be easier then. Only 2 sessions.
Because rest of the topics are already covered, right?
Okay.
Rest of the topics is already covered. The only third difference is like how you do the research and how you are writing it. And fiction actually takes a lot of time when it comes to the writing part, because it's not something like the information is already available on the internet and you are going to go ahead and put it down. But on the contrary, it would be more about like from your brains. But we are going to use AI to go ahead and do that brainstorming so we can go ahead and come up with other ideas. So what I'll be doing is I'll just go ahead and take you through a run through as to how what each prompt does. But for demo purpose, I'll be using 5 or 6 prompts to show you how you can go ahead with it. Now you have to, before I forget, because I forgot showing it to you. 1 second. Uh, So this is what I'm going to show. So this is known as Amazon Author Central. Okay. You just go and Google it, Amazon Author Central. We click on this. Okay. Now, when you come over here, you will go ahead and get options like, let me check if it is books over here. So you are supposed to go ahead. Shravan, what is the name of your book? Seven?
Rebuild, rise, repeat.
Rebuild,
Yeah.
rise, repeat. Okay. And this is Amazon.in. So over here, search your bookshelf. So in my case, it is not showing. Let me check. I don't know why. Is it add a book? Let me click on add a book. Okay. This is where you will come since my books are already there. So why so many copies all of a sudden? How many times have you actually added?
Uh, where exactly you're asking the addition of this? They already
So
have
what?
created this Amazon Author Central for my. I have added also
Okay.
on for my.
So, I mean, I just missed out on showing it to you. That's why I'm just showing it to you. So it
Yeah.
is very important that once your book goes live, you can do this activity only after that. So once this is done, I want you to go ahead. This was supposed to be covered in session number 7, but since there were some issues, like, certain things were not done, if you remember. So I had to take something from session 7 into session 6, if you remember. So that's when I forgot doing this. But so every time I was doing a webinar, I was like, okay, next time when we meet, this is one thing that I want to finish off. So go ahead and claim your book over here, because next time when you're writing a book for the people who have purchased your book, it will generally shows up and then also shows up to the larger audience. So this is kind of an author page. So it is very, and when you're doing it, it will also go ahead and give you an option to maybe create a profile page and everything. So this is my profile. So I've added my photo and this is my profile. So you can just add it that way. This is my author page URL on Amazon.com. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
clear?
done with this author page also, ma'am.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sorted. Good.
Thank you.
So Shravan is done with his work already. Tarun is left. Tarun, once you're done, go ahead and do that. So
Sure.
let me show you all the prompts and give you a run through as to what you will be using. So this particular prompt we will be using today to, brainstorm ideas. So since Shravan said, like, I don't have an idea as to what kind of book I'm going to write. I know I'm going to write a fiction book, but will that be a romance or a sci-fi or a murder mystery or a historical fiction? I don't know. So these two prompts is going to go ahead and give you those ideas. Now, anything that is in bracket, I want you to go ahead and upload whatever your stuff is, like, based on that. So this is a theme exploration. So basically it will go ahead and give you how it will be developing or the conflict areas and everything. It will go ahead and give you all of that. So it will basically like a plot, like, maybe when we are talking about a murder mystery, so what kind of plots can you explore? So this is something that will help you, these two prompts. You use this particular prompt when you don't know what will be the plot like, and if you have a clear sense of idea that I want to write a murder mystery and that is about a teenage girl, maybe, like, she enters into a hostel and then she learns that the room that she was allotted is of a person who is already like, she has already died and people claim that it was a suicide. So if you have that clear idea, go ahead and use this particular prompt. Then target
It
audience, if you
was
want.
entire content there, or the outliner
So,
of the story
sorry.
in the place of pitch. So we should
So this is an outline. Just put
outline.
the outline the way I just said it. You can just write 3-4 lines to let AI know what you are thinking. Okay. And then say, like, give me, like, underlying thematic questions or narrative that you could explore. For each question, different characters, which, etc. So it will go ahead and give you that. So every prompt is designed to go ahead and give you different kind of results. Then target audience consideration prompt. So in case like you don't know exactly who is your target audience, paste your pitch, paste your genre, and it will go ahead and design, help you identify your target audience. So you might say like, brainstorm 10 ways to go ahead and identify their preferences. So if you're talking about a murder mystery or a romance novel, so what is the kind of stuff that they would be looking at? So these preferences will help you to identify that. So again, in this, I have added the themes, the pacing. Why pacing is important? Because like how are you actually pacing your chapters is very important. Like, when you start, it could be slow, but like may in between, like to be very honest, how many, just asking you, have you ever watched a daily soap episode with your mom or your wife if you're married?
Daily?
Like the TV serials, have you seen
Ah,
those episodes? Any one episode. If you see how they start is, the start is very slow. In middle between, there is something that is introduced. Okay. In the end, you are left with, oh, what's the twist in the next episode? That's the arc that actually people follow. And that's what I want you to think about in each chapter. So it should like goes from here, go up, and goes thoda sa be like, not completely down in between. So people want more. Like, they should actually turn the chapter, like turn the page. That's the whole idea of writing a fiction book. Clear? Now, voice exploration, and this is for all the characters. So maybe the way you narrate, we will be using one of it today. So the tone or the voice of each character could be different. The way maybe Tarun speaks, or the way Shravan speaks, or the way I speak, the way Shivika will speak will be completely different. Correct? So style exploration prompts. So what kind of style do you want? Do you want medium pace? Do you want fast pace? Do you want, so there are certain people who like, dark mystery, or, these days there is a lot of, when it comes to films, there is this genre called dark comedy that has come up. So even that can be the style or exploration. So I want you to explore which of these you like. So when you run this particular prompt, it will go ahead and give you the different ideas. So based on that, you choose how should be the style like. So what is it that you resonate with? So for me, it should be gripping, suspenseful. So I would go like suspenseful, correct? So you might say I brainstorm like, 10 potential writing styles for this particular story idea, the pitch. Pacing that I just spoke about, how the serial happens. Like, slow, it will start slowly, something new is introduced and ended with maybe a twist where the audience wants more. So this is how actually helps you to go ahead and identify the pacing part. Now coming back to, this is again another prompt that you will be exploring. So this is a character prompts. So a list of character possibilities. So if you want to explore, right now I just have an idea. Like I gave you a story, but I don't know who all will be the characters. I know there is this one girl, whatever her name is, maybe I might just name her XYZ, but who all should be the other characters and what kind of roles they can play. So you can ask what character profile should be about the protagonist, the antagonist, mentor of this novel. And you can insert the synopsis over here and develop a list of potential conflicts that the main character will face in a novel. So, how does she uncover the truth? That how can you go ahead and do that? So, all of this you can add it. Setting prompts is something that will help you to identify location. So, when I say it is on the fourth road, so it is a general statement. But when I say it is on the fourth road, next to a banyan tree, there is an old school which is completely dilapidated, basically completely broken down, maybe because of whatever the ruins are remaining. So what I'm giving you is like exact location where this thing is happening. With me, guys, till here? Or it's too much of information? So the other prompt that we will be using is weather conditions. So how is the weather? So it could be sunny, bright, it could be warm, it could be full of fog, gloomy, it could be rainy, wet. So it will go ahead and give you list of potential weather conditions. You can choose one. How do you want each scene to look like? Okay. Then culture and society. So how is the society? So if I'm talking about like the society, how it was during the 90s. Okay. So how was the society? So that time, maybe the culture was, we didn't have social media, we didn't have TVs and everything. So that time it was more about human connections, like, actual bonding and connections. So how do you want the culture and society? So maybe you can just add that synopsis that you have in mind about your story. So in my case, maybe I'm talking about something that is in the early 2000, where there was not much of influence of social media because it had just entered India. So I can add that synopsis. So during that time, I remember people used to still go ahead and read a lot of books, and this particular scene is set into a college library. So that's how I would define. So that's how I'm going to insert my synopsis over here. Then technological advancement. So basically, in that particular time, there was no technological advancement, but computers had just started off, and the earliest email that people we knew at that time was just Google and Hotmail. So that is the technological advancement. So maybe not everyone had a computer, and that computer was like that TV wala thing with that cut wala keyboard, and it was a huge thing. So you can introduce that. List of magic systems. So maybe if you're writing a book that is a sci-fi, or maybe something that is like a witchcraft or something. So if you want to add something like a magic system, or maybe if you're planning to write a historical fiction, so in that, you can insert like this potential systems and magic systems. Sorry, symbols and magic systems work for that particular scenario. So maybe you must have read that story of Aladdin and that lamp. In that, the magic system was that lamp, that was the symbol was like just rubbing that lamp, and the genie used to appear, and he used to say, Kya hukum hai mere aaka, right? So if you are planning to write something of that sort, if it is a historical fiction, there was this web series that was there on Hotstar, Secrets of the Shiledar. I don't know if you would have seen that. So it spoke about um, one second. It spoke about um, the throne of Shivaji Maharaj that suddenly was like stolen or vanished. So the entire story starts with every particular generation there is one Shiledar, or someone who guards the treasure, the king's treasure. So how he uncovers the entire thing. So there are some, the protagonist, there is this hero, and there are multiple people involved into it. So out of that, there are for many people who are actually helping the main hero, but there are four people who are actually villains masked as someone who is trying to help that person. And eventually he uncovers that entire thing by going from one clue to another clue, one and going ahead. And finally, he's the only person who finds out where is that entire Shivaji Maharaj's throne, the throne, the chair on which he used to sit. It's made with of gold with so many diamonds and like precious stones. So where is it hidden? So that is a historical fiction. So if you need something brainstorming on those things, these two prompts are something that will go ahead and help you. So again, economy of society. So for an instance, like I don't remember the name of the movie. So this particular movie is based on like a biography, and this is talking about a young girl who starts playing chess, and she's from slums, and she's from South Africa. So I remember when that was my first encounter with someone. I must have watched, like, UK and US based movies, but that was the first movie that actually I saw that was based on someone's life in South Africa, like a native South African. So I remember when I was looking at it, this girl used to, like, there were so many boys who were being trained into chess, but she was the only girl who was just looking and like learning all the moves. And throughout the day, she had three or four siblings, and her mom was the only earning member. And in the entire day, she used to work in the field. They used to get that corn out, and she used to sell it in the market. So every single day when she used to come home, the only thing that they had to eat was just the corn. So she used to boil it, sometimes grind it, and they used to consume. So they have shown a picture of like how she used to sit in the market and sell those corn cobs, and like how she used to bargain, and how she used to go to, like, not go to school but to chess class because she couldn't afford that. So this is kind of the economy of the society that you are actually giving it to the readers to describe how the character's life would be. So if I have to, like, in simpler words, if I have to explain what would Shravan's life look like, or maybe what would Tarun's life look like, what is the economy? So we generally go ahead and define ourselves like, we belong to a lower class or middle class or upper middle class or high class people. But if you have to define, this is not just about two words, but how would you define? So maybe someone who is from a lower class would always travel by, like, standing in long queues for bus and train, right? So someone who is maybe a middle class would still have a bike. Someone who is from upper middle class will travel by maybe a cab or by car. Or someone who would be high class would have never traveled by cab also, maybe through a BMW or an Audi. That will go ahead and show the economy or the financial background of the character, right? Guys, with me or not?
uh, all the setting prompts are there, right? That seven prompts are there, right? We
Yes,
need to
yes.
use all the prompts, or based on the situation that we are writing, whichever
There,
ops that we need to
see,
use.
it is the first and the foremost thing is you need to have a clear picture. See, right now I'm just running through the prompts as of now. Just stay with me till the end because I'll show you how to start off. Okay. So you will use these particular prompts when you have to create a scene. So say for example, my the say let me name her Maya. Okay. So Maya is this girl who actually gets into this hostel, and she is allotted this room. And there are whispers that happen that maybe that particular room had there was someone else who had died before that. Okay. For me to introduce Maya, I would use the economy, maybe for a character or maybe for the entire novel. So if I have to use it for the entire novel, I would use this particular prompt to understand how is the hostel looking like. Correct. But if I have to use this particular prompt for Maya, I might say, okay, she is from a high class background. Her family is like pretty well off, but she is someone who wants to be independent, and that's why like she is living in a hostel. So how do you describe this? I describe this in two sentences, but it's not, when you're writing a fiction book, it is not about like telling people, because that person who is reading your book is not right in front of you to go ahead and actually understand things. So let me go ahead and give you an example. Um, have you been to a beach? Tarun, been to a beach?
Many times.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now I say Shravan has gone to the beach and is watching sunset. Okay, this is one sentence. Okay, now since I'm talking to you, I gave you a simple sentence. But if you I have to write it, I would write it was a beautiful evening and the sun was setting on the horizons and I am sitting on the beach. I can feel the sand touching my feet and I can hear the waves coming to the shore. And I can feel the air touching my body. I can smell the saltiness in that air. Does it take you to the beach?
Yes.
So here, the first example was just one sentence, and my description took you to the beach, right? That's the beauty of writing a fiction book. So every particular thing that you can say in one sentence, you write in such a manner that when that person is actually reading it, that reader should be transported in that particular scene, should be completely immersed into that scene. They when they're reading, see, I think the last novel that I read was something like a that was kind of a sci-fi and that was a mix of like that what do you say, who's that person who eat like a the Dracula and with romance mixed. I don't remember. It was some Marathi novel that I read. So I remember I was so hooked to that particular novel. I used to read it on an app. Every single night, I used to just wait back when everything else is done and I can go and read that. Okay. So every time I used to read it, that author was so good. He had transported me into that particular scene. I used to get completely immersed because you have to understand people who read are generally people who have very good visual like there is kinesthetics, like there are certain people who would just see, there are certain people who would feel, who could like smell. There are different senses of your body. So when I'm talking about kinesthesia, I'm talking about multiple sense because when you are learning, you are never learning only based on sound or only looking at it. You are using multiple sensory organs, right? So someone who reads are generally what I have realized is people who are very good at visualizing. So you should be able to transport your reader into that particular scene. It should be that immersive. Thinking it's too much now. ऐसा लग रहा है. Shravana is thinking, what am I going to do? Right? Okay. So these are few outlining prompts that you would use, like, if you want to, this particular prompt is very good because it will help you add some subplots to it. So what are subplots? So I gave you an overall plot. But what are the other subplots that I can introduce? Like, chota chota story. Who all can I introduce and how can, what all would be the twist that I can add? So these subplots can be used by the outlining prompts. Now, this is a scene writing for multiple characters. So maybe you can use it um, if you have like, there is like right now we have three people having a conversation. And you suddenly maybe Maya enters an area where she suddenly says there are five of her people like, college mates are already standing out there and they're discussing something and they suddenly freeze because they were not expecting Maya out there. And now there is a conversation happening between all five of them. So that's where, if you want to use this particular prompt, that's where you will be using it. Guys, with me? So this is another prompt, like, given the following scene with a stronger hook and opening paragraph style of best-selling genre. So these is like, if you want to build up a character, like, uh, I'm just thinking what to say. Okay. You must have watched Bahubali, the first Bahubali, Bahubali 1. How was Prabhas' entry? Do you remember? There was the song where he carries that shivling on his shoulder, right? So that is called as a character build-up. Tarun is thinking, where have I reached? So if you want to build up a character, like, how good the character is, or do you want to build up on a scene, you will be using these particular prompts. Correct? Then this is a sensory detail prompt. So what I gave you was like about the beach to enhance the sensory detail prompts. Like what is the taste? How is the feel? What are your senses feeling and what is the smell and everything will be covered into this. So this will help you to go ahead and deepen your reader's connection. Okay. So this particular prompt we will be using for the plot and twist again. So I want you to go ahead and experiment. So since you already have a story in mind, it will become easier for you to start off with. So anything else, like, maybe what other prompts that what other plots or twists can you add? If you're planning to maybe write a mix of like murder mystery with a romance, or maybe a historical fiction with it, you will be using it that way. So these are again 6 different things that I have given. So you will have to experiment and choose the results based on what is looking good for your book. Okay. Then this is the basic plot flow, but I have given this in the later part in detail. So I'll show you how it will be. So if you're unable to go ahead and finalize how should be my entire chapter, like the novel should end, like what should be the climax. So these particular options will go ahead and give you that choice. Whether do you want an open ending where the readers will decide what is going to happen next. Like all the Drishyam series are all what is going to happen next. If you want, like, a bittersweet ending, so it is not even happy, not even sad, you will use this. If you are planning to go ahead and keep it like, to be continued, you want the part 2 to be released, you use this particular option. You need a sad ending, you need a happy ending, use these prompts. Then this is another midpoint shift, like this is a moral dilemma prompt. So sometimes, people, the main character has to go through, tough choices. Like, um, for an instance, the main character needs money. Okay. But they know that selling drugs is wrong. But they have a medical emergency at home and they want to save someone in their family. So this is a moral dilemma that you can add. Okay. So in the middle of the story, like, or maybe a chapter, you want a midpoint shift. You can add those ideas, like, try and brainstorm over here. So insert your text here. So if you have some ideas, you can add it. And then it can go ahead and give you, like, give me 5 more major turning point. You will be able to go ahead and explore more of it. So this is like a chapter writing prompt. So once you run through all the prompts, you can use this, like you enter the genre here, the tone that you have chosen, the point of view, okay, how should be the setting here, the style, what are your characters. So every character. So once you go ahead and run a character arc, so you are going to add the character. What is the complete plot of the book you are going to add. So main source of conflict here. So you are going to add everything and this will go help you to write the entire chapter. But my suggestion is always like never use the entire chapter that is created for fiction book using ChatGPT, because there is a very high chance that it could be a plagiarism issue that you will not be able to resolve. So though you take an idea from here, but try and write it from, use your creativity. Okay. So bonus prompts to rewrite each POV. So maybe say I have given you an example. So if you are someone like, talking about like each chapter talks about a different person, for example. There are certain stories, certain novels, like one chapter will introduce. Mm, have you seen like I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was this web series on Amazon Prime. I remember watching this. So this particular web series was talking about four love stories. Okay. So in this four love stories, these were like episodes. Okay. And each episode was talking about a different love story. So the first love story was talking about a boy who was a teenager. Okay. Second love story was talking about another guy who was into college. The third love story was about another person who was into like of a marriageable age working with a political party. And the fourth love story was about a man who was closer to 50, and he when he is planning to marry a woman who is already a widow, the entire society actually tries to go ahead and kill both of them. And then towards the end, everything starts connecting. Like in the last 5 minutes, it actually tells you that all these four love stories were actually part of his life only. Got it or not? Huh. So maybe you can introduce, and for each, I remember for each of these, once again, for each of these stories, they did not, no one bothered to actually look at like what is the person's name, because the girl was different each time and the boy was introduced into different settings. So everything else made sense towards the end. So maybe if you are someone who's planning to write, in such a manner, you would need different characters, like chapter 1 Meera. So Arya's style would be completely different, Ravi's style would be completely different, and when then you go ahead and combine all together into your final chapter, even that can be done. So I've just added this to be on a safer end. So since I've given you a run through about all of these, I'm going to take you to this part first. So this is how a classic fiction arc happens. Okay. So this is always spoken about like, the 3-act style. So every style, so the setup, confrontation, and resolution. That's how most of the movies happen. That's how most of the TV serials are written. Even the web series are written in the same manner. So every part has like 3 subparts. The only thing this resolution part is like has 4 parts. So let's have a look at this. So the setup can be a hook. Okay. So where you introduce the main character, the world, like, the kind of conflict or the kind of upbringing or maybe the memories. So how do you hook them? So we are going to talk about like the hook also, because there are 4 or 5 different type of hooks that you can opt for when you're starting off. This is inciting an incident or disruption. So maybe a small problem appears. So like in my story, a small problem appears as like maybe this girl is walking through a library and suddenly she stumbles upon a book and that book just falls off out of her hand. And there is a note that is handwritten and just that just flows out or like flews out of that book, and she just picks up, and maybe that has a message and that has some initials, right? That is a small problem. First turning point. So something forces the protagonist to into new action. So maybe there could be someone else who would just walk in and say, "Oh, don't touch this particular thing." It can happen, right? Then new world or challenge, stakes rise high, a new character, place, or danger enters. And now Maya gets very curious as to what is happening. And because she hears whispers that this girl died or because of suicide. But the note says otherwise, right? False hope or calm before the storm. So most of the times when we are into problems, we feel like just before, the bad times start, we feel everything has settled down and everything is like normal. So she feels no, Maya might feel, oh no, what people are saying is true. This note is something, someone must have played a prank with me. And she would just say, okay, let me just throw it away. Just leave that thought. Okay. Midpoint twist. And suddenly, maybe she finds a clue that confirms that maybe, maybe she did not commit suicide. Okay. So more obstacles, more betrayal or internal struggle. So maybe she tries to find information and then she realize and she's unable to do that. Maybe the people who are closer to her are actually not telling her the truth. It can happen. So dark night of the soul, the lowest or emotional point when everything feels lost. So when she's trying to prove it to the world that what she's saying is true, that she did not commit suicide but it was actually a murder. But somehow the clues that she had collected, the evidence that she had collected is lost. The final battle or major decision, the climax. So the on resolution, the new normal. So these two parts is something that will take you into the next part of the story, like the next chapter. So here you are supposed to add that twist. Guys, with me? Okay. So let me take you through this particular part. So this is bonus step for fiction writers. So this is 7 kind of hooks that will help you to start strong. So if you like, I watch a lot of suspense and thriller movies. Okay. So imagine uh, this is in media res. So in Latin, it's basically means like in middle of something. So maybe you would start with some maybe I'm hanging from the cliff, or maybe the most starting point of a movie is like I'm standing on a hilltop and it's like dark out there. I'm completely shattered. That's the start scene of your movie, and you'll start thinking, what happened to her? Why is she standing out there completely sad, completely depressed? You get the reader hooked. Okay. Then flashback. So you can choose like different hooks for each chapter when you start. Okay. So open with a memory. So maybe when I start my chapter is like, I would maybe start with like, in those days we didn't have cycles. We didn't own bicycles or cars. So I remember those days when like, we could rent those cycles for maybe an hour or half day or the entire day. And we used to go riding on those cycles everywhere in our vicinity. Okay, so that's a flashback. So mystery. So I might start Maya story with like, a note, a secret, or a body to start with suspense. So in my story, suddenly she sees that note in that book. So I'm starting off with that hook. Philosophical. So here you can say like, maybe like I have given this question like, do memories lie? Can memories lie? Because those are the truth that has happened in the past. So you can start with that way as well. Surprise, a shocking truth. Like I walk into the police station and I say, I killed him. And that's a confession that I'm starting off with. Setting as hook, a strange place full of tension. So maybe you transport your readers to a very strange place, maybe a dark alley, or maybe a dark warehouse where you describe how the dark warehouse is looking like. Maybe there is this dimming light of like bulb in some one corner, and in this warehouse you see all big cartons lying like piled up on each other, and the the air is like very humid out there. It feels very stuffy out there, and you could hear squeaking of these rats out there. You will feel all of these. Okay. A voice hook, so a narrator with a personality. So like you can start with maybe the way you speak. That is also another way to go ahead and put it. So again, this one depends upon the kind of narration that you are going to choose, and we will be talking about how the different two three different versions of narration in a short while. So now this is another bonus tip that talks about you're going to use the five senses to paint a particular scene, because writing a non-fiction is very simple, because people know they have to just read. But a fiction book is going to transport your reader into a completely different aspect of their life. People read fiction books to escape from their life. So you should be able to transport them. So the number one thing is, don't just tell them, make them feel it. So when I gave you that example of that beach, I said, what does it look like? So I said, like the sun is setting. It is setting on the horizon. How is the sound? So I said the waves are gushing to the seashore. Okay. How does it smell? The air was salty. What can be touched? I can feel the air touching my body or the sand touching my feet. What can be tasted? I can taste the saltiness in the air. So I used all my senses to paint a particular scene. Even when it came to the warehouse, I described, okay, the warehouse is completely dark and I could see the flickering of a bulb far away. The air is like humid and stuffy. The smell is stuffy. I can hear the rats squeaking, right? So I'm using all my five senses to describe how the setting is actually looking like. Okay. Then contrast is very, very important. So for an instance, contrast is actually used in all the movies. If you check, pick any movie, you will see a contrast. So what is a contrast? So contrast will have uh two things into a person. Like in this particular example, I say a happy moment, show it breaking. So do you see people, they are smiling but they still have tears in their eyes? That is a contrast. You will see that the hero is very brave, but at the same time, very emotional. Like some, if you see most of the South movies, you will see that the hero is like shown so brave, so uh, like like good body, like very and at the same time, someone who is very thin, but he can actually kill 50 people, right? So if I have to maybe like for example, if I have to describe Tarun would look like, nothing against your any of your complexion, but I'm just telling you, my husband is also dark. I'm married to a Tamilian, okay, to be very honest. So people at first instance, when they see my husband, they say, okay, he looks scary. It is nothing to do with his nature, but people look at dark skinned people or brown skinned people that way, unfortunately. But I find them pretty good because they have very sharp features. So that's why I married him, by the way. So when it comes to so because since it is recorded and it will go off to someone as a session, so I'm just making it clear, so I don't want anyone to be offended. So, but people get scared. He has a hoarse voice, like, very hoarse voice. So people do get scared with his voice. But on the contrary, he is someone who is very good at heart. Okay. Like if I have to describe Shravan is maybe a very soft spoken person, but there could be an another side to it. He would be someone like soft spoken, he would be very humble, but at the same time, uh, he could be short tempered. That's a contrast.
Yeah, I've seen many movies where hero will be
Ha,
silent in front of people and behind he'll be
correct.
something like a Batman.
Ha. So that is a contrast. Okay. And you are going to use that particular contrast to go ahead and enhance your story. Okay. Clear? Now, the next is like the subtext or the explanation. So this is the easiest and the simplest thing is like, reading between the lines. So many times, you remember when we were kids, we would always go to our mummies and say, like, yeah, Mama, can I go to play? Okay. And she'll say, go. She'll say, go. And we as kids, we used to actually look at her face and read. She said, go. Should I go or not? How many of you have actually done that?
Till today.
And, huh? Till today. Even my son does that. So he'll like, he'll say, I have to go out. And like, if I say, huh, okay, go. So he knows, okay, go. When I say, go, then he knows she's mad. The moment I step out, I'm gone.
Right.
Right? So what are we doing? We are reading between the lines. Okay. So, when we are watching, see why I'm giving you references of movies and TV serials, because it will become very easy for you to relate. So when there are two people who are actually talking to each other, when you're watching any movie, okay, you see, there is a one person, there is this hero, and maybe like, his love interest, for example. Okay. And when they're talking, he will ask something to her, or she will ask something to her, and he will say something. Okay. But as his love interest, this woman is not able to identify that he is lying. But we as an audience can read it. Okay, he's lying. Happens. Like I used to have a habit, like when we were kids, like we used to read, watched all of these TV serials. My dad used to make us watch that CID, that police inspector, and all of these. So the moment that TV serial used to start, watching on TV, I remember my dad used to ask us, like, who do you think is the killer? That was the standard question. And before the final killer was revealed, we had to answer it. That was the game that we used to play. So I used to sit down, I said, like, minutely, and start looking at each character's face and like read their expressions, like you read their body language and identify. I'm sorry, what happened? Okay. So I used to actually read that person's, like, expressions and body language. Okay, I know he's lying, so there is something fishy with this character. Okay, let me go ahead and do run the all the permutation calculation, and before even the story unravels, I'm going to go ahead and tell my father, okay, you know what, this is what is going to happen. I think this guy is the killer, and he might be the killer. He might have killed this particular person for XYZ reasons. I might not be 100% correct, but that was the kind of training that I was getting during my childhood days, to go ahead and run those simulations, where I know, like, what when you are thinking, when you're here thinking, I might be 10 steps ahead of you thinking about those things, because that's how I was trained as a kid. So basically, reading between the lines means, like, the body language says something and words are saying something different. And that happens when people actually lie, when they actually betray, when they want to actually, uh, lie. Like, or maybe you might have noticed in some movies, people lie not only for betrayal, but sometimes, they lie because they don't want the other person to get hurt. Specifically, when it comes to breakups and everything, they just lie. Okay. So, people don't say what they are supposed to say. Like, they avoid saying it because we want the readers or the audience who are actually watching it to feel it, to sense it on their own without we telling them. Okay. Then this is fixing the 6 things which will actually make your book like a page turning kind of a book. I don't want you to explain emotions. Like I said, like, uh, I would say he smiled, but deep within his eyes, I could feel that there was that sense of dullness. I'm not saying it, but I'm just making you feel. Why is that happening? Maybe like that person must have actually lost uh, an opportunity, and that opportunity is gone to other person. So this person is going and congratulating his colleague out there. So smiling and saying that, yes, I'm happy for you. But deep within, like if you look into his eyes, they were deep, sunken, and there is that dullness. There is that sadness in it. So don't explain emotions. Let them feel it. Okay. Make voice sound like a real person, not a textbook. So when you're actually writing it, always write it in a manner which is easy to resonate with, but be descriptive. Okay. Replace generic words with specific, strange, or sharp details. So you might say, generally this is what is going on, what happens. No, be very specific. When I say, when you go on a beach, this is what generally happens. No, when you go on beach and you sit on the beach, you feel that sense of calmness. You can actually sense that, that saltiness or taste that saltiness in that air. Be very specific when you say, do not use generic words. Cut filler, start where things go wrong. So, wherever when you're doing again, writing it, when you're writing the entire story and when you actually read it, the biggest advice that I can tell you is like, when you're reading your chapter, do not be emotional. So you have to understand, someone who is being very emotional, who is not able to go ahead and cut and edit your chapters or your work, trust me, you will not be able to write a gripping story. Let it be a romance, let it be a sci-fi, let it be a murder mystery, you will not be able to write it when it comes to fiction. So be ruthless when you're doing cutting or editing. Like, when you read it, you should feel completely immersed in it. Then give your characters flaws. So we might have seen a very good son, but he might be addicted to betting, like, the betting, the cricket betting we are talking about, or maybe gambling. Because when you make someone very, very perfect, people are not able to relate. We all might have flaws, and the flaws could be like, I could be very good at what I'm doing, but I could be short tempered. I could have certain things in my life that I don't want people to know, right? We all have our secrets. So, what are those secrets? So, these secrets are something that that could make your character much more relatable. Then surprise the reader, make them feel seen, hurt, and healed. So every time, like, that's a journey. So the more they are like, every time you read a character, so uh, this is what actually happens. So, say for example, if you're watching a romance movie, for instance, so if you like the lead hero so much, the girls will start imagining, okay, I want a boy like that in my life. Okay. Boys will start thinking, I need a girl like that in my life. But they want people to feel like, yes, what are the, you have to understand there when you are reading a book, the deepest desires come out. People never ever admit, but the deepest desires, like, the desires could be anything. So maybe okay, I don't remember which movie. Some I think Jurassic Park or something. I don't remember. So if you remember, it is like Jurassic Park is a sci-fi movie. So I don't remember the name of the characters and everything. But there are like they show these kind of situations on scenes in that movie where the hero is actually taking care of, like, maybe another woman, like protecting her and everything. Or maybe they could be like, if you have watched this, I don't know if you have watched this movie. There is this The Great Indian Kitchen. It's a Malayalam movie. Okay. So there is a remake of that called Mrs. in Hindi. The both of them are available on Z5. So if you watch that particular movie, women went crazy behind it because of the simple reason they could relate how women are treated after marriage, because they could relate to that character. Okay. So and like, every single day. So the crux of that movie is like every single day she used to get up. She's not given a mixer grinder. She is not given a washing machine. She has to cook, like, maybe 4 or 5 meals every single day and do it from zero. They want things to be done in a specific way. And she was someone who loved dancing. She was a trained dancer, and people, all the women who were watching that movie could relate to her because they felt seen. Because that is something like, people were like, this is actually the life of a housewife. Now, when she was getting hurt, they were also getting hurt. Then when she took that final step, like, I don't want to be in this marriage, I want, and she walked out, they also, like, she was healed. Like when she was actually doing, stage performance after a year after separation, the audience also healed. Correct? Shravan, is it too much for you to digest?
Maybe, ma'am, a lot of things are there, right? So need to understand a
Yes.
lot.
No, what I'm doing right now is trying to give you how you should be writing your chapters,
Okay.
because the writing part has to be done by you guys only. And if you do not see, you will write a chapter. So fiction is more about describing things. Fiction is more about being immersive, right? So how can you make your reader feel seen, hurt, and healed, right? So maybe look up, um there is this who's that guy who did Arjun Reddy, Vijay Devarkonda, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh. So there is this movie, I think, what is that movie? I forgot the name of the movie. One second. No, what is it? One second, I forgot the name of the movie. I'll just check and tell you. One second, I'm just checking. World famous. No. Dear Comrade. Okay. So if you watch this movie, Dear Comrade, it talks about like, uh, I think Rashmika Mandana is there in that particular movie. So like, how a comrade is someone like, who's like a friend, like a guide, and who will stand with her to protect. Okay. Another movie that you can watch about her is I think the Family Star. I think, it is Family Star. I think so. I don't remember the name. So, over there, like, if you can relate to those stories, like, what are the struggles of someone who's a family man? How does he try to go ahead and keep everyone in his family like together, keep them happy, protect them? So that is his journey. So that is also a way of like fiction storytelling. So what is it that you are going to write? It will be the crux of your book. Okay. So I'm done with all the information that has to be passed on before I go into the demo part. Uh, if you have any questions, ask.
The first question I have is like, as like we did for non-fiction, is there any project to get the potential topic which we need to do?
Sorry, what is it?
So we did a market research work for fiction, non-fiction book, right? So which
Huh.
heading will sell better, and what should be our
So,
targeted topic should be kind of.
what you can do is for market research for fiction books is you can choose the different, like, murder mystery, for example, sci-fi novels, murder mystery novels, thriller novels. Check. There are just 8 to 10, niche into fiction. So most of the fiction that actually fiction novels that are selling pretty well are, one is romance, another is sci-fi, suspense or murder mystery, historical fiction. Then there is, did I miss out on something? I'm just thinking. Huh? I think I missed out on something. Romance, fantasy, mystery, sci-fi, and historical fiction. So these are the 5 things that generally sell pretty well. So you can write in any of these 5 niches. So you can go ahead and when you're doing a market research, check for these, like you say, murder mystery novels, romance novels, and see, do the market research accordingly. Because in fiction novels, there is nothing as in like you need to go ahead and have it into your title or subtitle. No, it is always in the backend based on the keywords. Next question. I'm waiting. Guys, can you hear me, see me?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you. And the next question is like, as like we had a number of chapters decided for
Hmm.
a non-fiction book. How many chapters or how we should plan for this?
So generally a novel has around 10 chapters. So a
Okay,
novella, like, then extended version has around 15 chapters.
okay.
But
If
I have
something like Harry
also
Potter,
seen, huh?
if something like Harry Potter,
So yeah, Harry Potter, like one particular book has like so many, like 8 to 10 chapters. So even that is good enough. And Harry Potter is an entire series.
yeah, it's series. That's what I
Because
mean to ask.
Huh. So if you, I don't know if it was available into your schools. There was these like even like what Sherlock Holmes is, Agatha Christie novels. So who was that guy in in Agatha Christie novels? There was this guy, I think Poirot or something. I don't, or Hercules. I don't remember the name exactly. but this guy was someone who actually used to crack that murder mystery. So every single book, he will crack one murder mystery.
Okay. So yeah, the character sketch of hero would be same. So there'll not be
Hero
much
would
of
be same.
description about it. So every
Right.
time it is like a story, like a detective who is to solve the case. Each
Correct.
case will be called as a
Different.
chapter or a book.
No, no, no. Book.
Book. Okay.
Each case will be a book.
Okay.
Okay. So you remember I spoke about I like that Marathi novel that I was reading. I don't remember the name. So over there, I don't know if there is a English translation. There is this I there is this book of Pula Deshpande. He's a Marathi author. He's a very well-known Marathi author. I think the book's name is Batatachi Tsal. Okay. So you remember I showed you like the POV of different characters, a prompt that said the POV
Yeah.
of different characters. So
Yes.
this book speaks about like say for example he is living in this chawl system. I Do you know what a chawl system is, by the way? Do you know what a chawl system is,
No,
guys?
I don't know what it is.
Chawl
No,
system,
no, no,
like
ma'am.
chawl. Okay. So you live in row house, is it? Or buildings?
Okay.
Building, ma'am.
Oh, building. But Tarun, where do you live? Like a row house or a building?
It's a individual house.
Okay, individual house. With G plus how many floors?
It's G+1.
Okay, perfect. Now, in Chawl system, okay, it was there in Chennai as well. I remember when I visited Chennai in 2011, it was there over there as well. So basically, um, Chawl system is like, houses with just the ground floor, okay? And like, this is my house and this is my common wall. Like there'll be another house next to it. No floor
Okay,
wise.
shared wall. A common wall will be shared between two buildings. Is that
Two
so?
houses,
A
no
duplex
buildings.
home. Okay.
No, no duplex. Like maybe it could be like a 1 BHK also, but again, it is just on the ground floor, nothing on the house. There's just roof.
Okay.
No first floor, no second floor, and all the houses are in a straight line. Say, for example, this is one house, this is second house, then this is the third, this is the fourth, this is the fifth. There is a complete sequence.
Yeah, yeah. Understood.
And there are one shawl is here, and another shawl could be parallel to it, or maybe like next to the road, or maybe in whatever thing.
Maybe in pilgrims regions we will see such kind of things.
Sorry?
In pilgrim regions we see such kind of buildings.
Huh.
So
Buildings nahi, houses.
houses.
They are not buildings. These are called shawl system. Okay, why did I actually say this? What was your question, by the way? The Batatachi Sal. So, Pula Deshpande is a very well-known Marathi novelist, author. Like, he got a lot of awards. Now, what he did is, in his chawl that he was, say for example, if Shravan is living in an apartment in a building, okay, so he can pick and choose one character from his building and he can write an entire chapter on him, on that character, without naming that person. So he this particular author was very witty, and he described all the funny things about that particular character. So I remember, I think it is part of this particular book only. There was this guy, okay, he was a drunkard. Okay. So I don't know. In South also, do they follow? I don't know. Like, we have the Shravan month that is going to start from 24th of this month. That is July. Okay. So that guy also used to follow that Shravan month. So during Shravan month, we generally do not eat non-veg. Okay. So this guy used to stop eating non-veg and stop drinking alcohol. Now, what happens is like just before the Shravan month starts, there is this Amavasya. So during that time, you can eat non-veg and drink alcohol if you want. But after that period is over, you cannot eat. So I remember a scene where he was describing, and I've read this book like long, long, long back, I think 25, 30 years back. So I remember this guy drank like crazy. Okay. And the moment that clock struck, this guy went to his kitchen, he put his two fingers in his mouth, and he puked everything and emptied all his stomach. Okay. So I remember this particular instance very clearly. So each character he has presented it in such a witty manner, like in a comic, in a fun manner, that there are certain characters that you just can't forget. Okay, so maybe you can, instead of just writing an entire novel, you can still, like, pick one characters and just create it. Even that is okay. And he said like batata chizal. So batata is basically, potato, aloo. So he says, the entire chawl is kind of like full of potatoes. So because the potatoes are something that which goes with all kind of vegetables. They mix up while cooking. So that's why he named it as batata chizal. So you can explore that thing as well. If you're very good, like, if you're humorous and witty, you can explore that particular area as well. Okay, next question, guys. Shravan, no
Maybe
question today. Tarun is there. Tell
no,
me.
Shavan is in excitement. So he'll be asking questions. He'll be ready with
Next session.
tons of questions in next session. Yeah, he'll be experimenting
Yes.
it and coming back with tons of questions. I know. So the
Okay,
thing
tell me,
is,
what is your
uh,
question?
so maybe if we see the demo, we may get some more doubts. And
Okay.
like, what is a like average? Usually, from my understanding, for a non-fiction book, it should be short term twist would be better. But how about the fiction one? Is there any specific word count to be taken care, or the same thing applies? The shorter will be better.
Uh, See, if you're planning, I would suggest first finish writing the book. On an average, if you can get a book up to 200 pages, that's decent enough. So that would be around,
Okay.
because see, you have to understand each chapter. If I write for 1,000 words, 10 chapters will be 10,000 by default. And then
Okay.
when you try and expand, another 5,000 will be added up, plus your front and
Uh-huh.
back matter. So that will go ahead and make a book of around 150 to
Uh,
200 pages, roughly.
okay.
So if you want a very well-versed or expanded version, you can start off with, like, the decent amount is a book that is around 25 to 30,000 words. So that will make around 250 pages. But for you to
Okay.
write that kind of book, you should be very good at it, like to go ahead and keep your reader hooked till the end.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, if you are not able to that, 10 to 15 is a decent amount. 150 to 200 pages per. That's decent enough.
So
10 to
let us take an example.
15,000 words. Sorry.
Okay, let us take an example of Bahubali. So
Hmm.
where like initial plan or even KGF, the initial plan will have a plot which may have a prehistory kind of scenario, like,
Hmm.
but uh, like how to say, it will be connected to the past kind of thing. It will be a flashback
Hmm.
kind of writing, right? The Bahubali story, backdated one. More story will be connected in the flashback. The more mysteries, something kind of.
How do you want to position the book? Like, do you want the entire book to have one story completed, or do you want to have like the Harry Potter series? Because if I don't have clarity, I can't give you
So
feedback.
the idea which I have is like most probably it is a one book which completes all this entire happenings of the story. That is how it is being planned,
Give me
not
one
as a
second, one
series like
second, one second,
Harry
one second.
Potter.
1 second, 1 second. I couldn't hear you. Hold on. Just switch. Okay. Huh. Go on. I just repeat your.
It's not like the Harry Potter. It will be one as like entire story will be completed in one book. But what I felt is like instead of giving an end, happy or sad ending, I thought of uh, leave it as an open one.
So the climax part, you can work on it. Flashbacks, you can introduce, like, you use flashbacks as a hook when you start the chapter.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
you will end,
like
say, for example, you would end a chapter like, Tarun did this, and
hmm,
that will leave the readers puzzled. Why is he doing this when he should be doing this? For
okay.
example. Okay. But in next chapter, you'll go ahead and start giving a flashback. Why did Tarun choose option one instead of option two? Because see, you have to always understand when we are we in our day-to-day lives, people do make choices. When we are making choices, it is always based on our past life experiences, or the things that we were taught, or the things we have learned. Correct? So instead of choosing option two, Tarun has chosen option one. But why did he choose that? Because of his past life experiences, and that's where you introduce the flashback. Clear?
Okay.
Hmm. Anything else?
My idea was like fictional thriller story. It was a kind of bit of horror one.
Right, right. I've stopped reading horror stories.
Uh-huh. But you may like
I've
this
stopped.
story, you know.
Huh?
You may like
No,
this story.
no, I'll tell you, it plays with your mind in a very bad way. I'll tell you, like, no, I'm being very honest. I remember I used to fight with my husband every single day because, I was so hooked to Walking Dead. I don't know if you have watched this.
Okay.
I think it's on Netflix. It was initially on Netflix, now it's on Amazon. Walking Dead is basically uh, the world has ended and there are zombies everywhere. So I remember my
Okay.
husband used to wake up at 9 in the morning, and I used to, like, after my son used to go to school, I used to take my breakfast and sit down in front of the TV and play two episodes. And there were some days that I was so unfortunate. My husband would wake up at 8 o'clock and he'll find me eating my breakfast right over here. And there is a zombie out there who's tearing apart someone's stomach and pulling out the intestines and eating. And I'm eating my breakfast in front of it. And he'll be like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you watching this while eating?" I hope you
Okay.
got the point. So eventually, I
Understood.
remember when I was sleeping, like, even I used to read these horror stories because I don't get scared. I'll watch horror movies
Uh-huh.
alone. So I even till date, my husband doesn't watch horror movies. I watch horror movies a lot. So you know, it starts playing with your brain in the long run. Like I used to read and those Dracula kind of stories and everything. You so then eventually I stopped because of that. Your sleep gets disturbed because if that writing
Only
is so
that
immersive,
should be the right byproduct.
sorry.
That should be the right byproduct of the horror story.
No, I mean, it wasn't something like, I will get, I will be woken up in the middle of the night thinking there is some shadow that is lurking around. No, it was like, the kind of dreams that I used to see, because I remember all my dreams were like something very weird. And there is
Okay.
no relation to like neither the book that I've read, neither something that I've watched, neither something that I've thought. It starts
Mixture
playing
of
with,
all.
huh?
Okay. Mixture of all.
It was very weird and I couldn't make the head and tail out of it. And then I will start thinking, what nonsense is this? So that's why I said, okay, once in a while I will do that, because that's the beauty. Like, if that means, if the writer or the author is so good that, if that person could actually put me into that immersed state, then this is actually the outcome of it, to be very honest. Okay. I used to get
Okay.
it. I have a habit, like, when I read, I start visualizing.
Okay. Actually, this topic, why I said that is, I've did a research on the topic quite long back. So
Hmm.
I remember it like something. I was there at Andaman, where I knew, like, after visiting the place, I found that for quite some time it was
See,
occupied by Japanese people.
start with whatever topic that you want to explore. So if you ask me, I can easily write a murder mystery,
Okay.
because I
Yeah,
can.
even with your demo book, I found it.
Sorry.
In the demo session, you have
Huh.
shown some model of book. Even that was related to some murder mystery only.
Yes, I can
Okay.
write a murder mystery even in my sleep.
Okay.
So because I've watched so many movies, so many documentaries, read so many books, and like I have been watching murder mystery, solving those crimes with my dad and everything now. Even today I watch Crime Patrol. I'll be like, say, no, I don't think so. This is the killer. I can make that guess. So that's
Okay.
why. So maybe some fine day when I get ample amount of time, and when actually I have to write fiction books a lot, like a proper fiction book. So that time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start maybe like a series proper. Part one, part two, part three, part four, so people can explore all of it. Okay. So let me take you
So
through the demo
we
part.
can we can explore so much of murder then, murder mystery.
Yes. But from the detective's
Okay.
point of view. Okay. So what I have done is this part to make it very simpler for you. So, I'm going to go ahead and give you a very simple thumb rule before I take you to the all the AI prompts through the live demo. The basic idea that I would say is like, always start. Number one, have a story in mind. Like, how should like it be? Like, I gave you this murder mystery during the demo. Like, this girl that is like uncovering that it's not a suicide, but it's a murder. So that's the plot that I have of the overall book. Now, what characters do I want to introduce? So, again, in her case, maybe I can introduce some teachers. I can introduce, like, there is this recent, like, it was coming up in the news that there is this teenager boy that was raped by his English teacher, like, 9, 10 standard student, something. So, you can introduce, like, a teacher who is a predator, who could have actually abused that girl possibly. You could introduce like some classmates who could have bullied her. Okay. Like, so who are the characters? So if you have that kind of picture in mind, it will become easier. So if you don't have it, even then these prompts are going to help you. So say for example, I copied this particular part. So I'm going to use this. My genre is definitely fiction. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and just add it and see. So Shravan sir currently doesn't have a plot. So I'm just giving you this particular prompt. So this is the grief archivist. So I think So this is one of it. That's the concept. The house that wept. This is kind of sci-fi, yeah? This is a dystopian stuff. So this is again, so all of these are basically sci-fi. Okay. So it's giving me high concept fiction story ideas. So if you want, you can choose out of it and create based on that. So this is just for brainstorming purpose. If you have your own plot, do not use this. But if you don't have your own plot, you can choose. You can say like, give me 5 more or 10 more ideas, or maybe if I say for example, I'm just using my thing. Last Confession Club, The Widow's Script, Silent Alibi, Inheritance Game. So, so say for example, say for example, I like this. I can choose this one, for example. I know uh I can easily write this story. So I can choose this one. So if you want, like, you might say, give me 5 more on, say, again, romance, for example. 5 more on what is your Tarun, horror and
Horror, thriller,
what? Mix of horror and what?
thriller.
Sent. So I love this one. The forest has teeth.
Our story is also kind of that. People
Sorry,
get stuck in forest. Our planned or ideated story is also kind of that. People got stuck
which
in the
story?
forest.
Which story?
The idea which I have in mind.
Okay. So you can use this. I love this. The forest has teeth. So okay, you can give this a twist of like, historical fiction. You can add that as well. Like, because see, she must confront the role in her past tragedy. So how do you go ahead and rescue the current people? So again, she has to go back in her life and then, uncover those truth and solve that particular thing. So you are going to go ahead and uncover these ideas accordingly. So now you will say like, you might go ahead and choose one story idea and you will say write in 2 lines what happens plus why it matters. That will go ahead and give you much more brainstorming ideas. So say for example, I'm choosing one of it. Added. So right now it is going to go ahead and give you who's the survivor. So basically this is the main character. Okay. Another person who would be working with her, because there could be one person who is going to survive through the entire thing, because the hero or the heroine actually doesn't die, to be very honest. So these are the characters.
What
So if you,
happened if hero and heroine also dies in the last scene?
I can't hear you, Tarun. It's raining very heavily at my place.
Okay, sorry. Is that fine now?
Yeah. What is
Okay,
what?
you just proceed last and last.
Huh? Hello?
My
I
God.
can't hear you. Can you put your question in the chat? I can't hear you properly. So I'm just moving ahead into this so I can show you all the prompts. How is it working? One second. What is it saying? Okay. So now, so see if it has already added, who is the main character, the enemy or the obstacle or the love interest, sidekick, you can assign roles. So over here, they have given, this is like a team of people who are going inside. So I remember I had seen, a movie. I don't remember which, was it Bollywood, Tollywood, or whatever, Collywood movie. So they went into this forest and they were trying to find like the lotus which glows in the night. And this particular lotus flower, it blooms on tree trunks. So the people who actually go down to get that lotus, they actually die because something just opens up and gulps the entire human beings. That's the kind of story. So this story looks like something of that. So I remember, these were the three main characters, and there'll be, four, five people who might have accompanied them. So you can just add up, like you might say, I need five more people into this. You can add it up that way. Okay. Then the world, theme, and voice. So since my genre and everything is set, I'm going to just go ahead and put it over here. Instead of this, I'm just putting it. So this will go ahead and give you a vivid setting, like how is the mood. So the setting is a shaded vale forest. How is weather? So it is like that gloomy, completely overshadowed, overcast, like cloudy kind of a stuff, colorless sky. Then the mist coils, slow through the trees, like slow moving breath. So basically, it will be still stuffy. Rain falls often, not in like heavy rains, but it is steady, rhythmic drizzle. Mood, claustrophobic silence, broken only by, maybe when the wind is flowing, the creak by when the trees are moving, that's when the silence is broken. So the mood, the place details. So a crumbling ranger station at the forest edge, the hollow trail, reflection pond, clearing of bones, the heart tree. Okay. So basically, this is the setting. Now I move on to the three themes that I'm going to explore. So I'm going to add it over here. So what are the themes that could be the crux of the story? So self-worth and redemption. So basically, see, you cannot outrun your past, but you can confront it and make correct choices and go ahead in it. The cost of truth. So every time the truth demands sacrifice, and not everyone is willing to go ahead and pay price, because sometimes you have to let go of something that is very dear to you. Okay. Then freedom through acceptance. Freedom isn't escape, it's acceptance of who you are and what you have done. Okay. Because sometimes people want freedom at the cost of, lies, being untruthful to people by deceiving people. But you have to accept who you are and what you have done in past, and correct those mistakes. Okay. So these are the three themes that you can explore in this. Now, voice prompt. So basically, how do you want, you as an author, how would you narrate the story? So we are going to test it now. First person. So you might say like, and ensure that whatever you are choosing out of these, keep a separate copy of it, whatever you have chosen. Because after you run all the prompts, it will go ahead and give you different samples. So whatever you have chosen, keep a separate copy. So when you are creating an outline, I gave you a prompt that write that entire chapter in 1,000 words. So you need the tone, the setting, the mood, the place, everything you're going to fill into it, and it will write the chapter for you. Okay. And then see, again, you have to understand when you're writing fiction book using AI, there is a chance that it will go ahead and use the same thing. It will not take it up as a continuation as well at times. So you will have to read and revise. Okay. Then the three options, the narrator's voices, first person, haunted, and intimate. So basically, the main character is the narrator. Okay. The forest didn't just remember what I'd done, it wore like a second skin, and it whispered back to me with every step that I took. The third person, limited, tense, and immersive. So it will, Cassie stopped. The trees were leaning again, closer than they had been a moment ago. She didn't remember turning, but now the trail behind her was gone. Okay. Third person, omniscient, eerie, and mythic. So the forest had no name, not anymore. It had traded that long ago for something older, something that knew how to wait. So, if you want something that has dialogues, go for this. But even this is good. So, I would choose this is easier to write. This would be kind of difficult if you because you will have to think about the dialogues. So, this is easy. This is very flat. Okay. Now I'm taking you again to the next one. Plot your book in 10 chapters. So chapter 1, so this is what is going to happen. Okay. So now I'm going to put it for all the chapters. Break the story into 10 chapters. Chapter summaries. So chapter 1, it talks about introducing Cassie. That's the conflict. Like she thinks that the forest is alive or dead. She doesn't know, but because till the time she enters it, okay, the echo trail, they realize the forest resists being mapped, and it may be manipulating their memories. Because, like, sometimes I remember, like, long back, I watched a Hollywood movie, like, just because of the buzzing of the honeybees, people used to get into altered states. Okay, and many things used to happen in that forest. The voice on the tape says you can't leave unless someone takes your place. Cassie panics and lies, claiming it's a fake. So it has created all the 10 chapter summaries. Okay, now in the next, let's structure each chapter using the 10-point framework, the arc that I spoke about. Okay, so there is another prompt. You're going to run this particular chapter prompt for each of the chapters. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put chapter number 1. Okay, I come down to this is the summary. I come over here, paste it here, create a scene using this structure. I come back over here. So I will have, okay. So this is the classic fiction arc map to all of these. Enter. So if you notice, like it has given me a chapter over here. So I would see the hook or the ordinary bold. So in this, if you want, I can again go back over here. So I can go ahead. I come over here. So what would be the opening sentence like? If you have an opening sentence, what would that be? So if you don't know, you can always say this. Chapter. So let's see, what is it giving me? One second, I'll have to just revise. Correct. Okay, so let's see. I want the opening and closing to be like this. Okay, so I'm going to use this particular prompt. So I'm going back over here. I copy this entire thing. And let's see what happens. So do you see the entire chapter of how I created it big, right? And it is pretty well written to start off with. Correct? This is how you will be using these prompts. So right now I did not go ahead and actually put everything, but even this one thing can go ahead and make a difference. But even you can explore this, like, if you copy paste your tone, your point of view, your setting after running through the prompts, you can use this and it will still create all the chapters for you. Okay, Tarun, ask. You have 5 minutes to ask me questions. Make it quick. Chalo, rapid fire. Tarun, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Your,
So I
your
think
voice is
I'll
coming
be
and
able
going up,
to
by the way.
give me a minute. Is that fine now?
Better. Tell me.
Good. Better. Okay, like I'll be able to ask you more doubts if I try this out because it seems to be easy when I see it, but if I try it out, I may have some doubts to follow. As for
Good. Do
yes,
it. Okay. Shravan, any questions? Because I know Shravan is going to come up with a lot of questions next time, as Tarun said.
Once practice, then only, ma'am.
Uh, practice, practice.
Yeah.
But at least, like, with yeah, by the way, I don't
for
know
my
what Shravan is writing on, but Tarun, the prompts that I spoke about, the magical elements and the symbols, that also can be used in this particular story.
okay,
Okay. And you can explore, like, each chapter. So what you do is basically the idea of how to use this prompt is first have the plot in your mind ready, then think of the characters that are primary, at least the more main four
okay,
five characters, and maybe have, like, like a clear draw maybe a map. Okay, the force into each chapter, what are you going to talk about each chapter.
okay,
So the first chapter is drawing her to the forest. Then in that forest, what does she uncover? So what will be the symbol
okay,
that makes her believe that the forest is still alive?
okay,
So what is that clue number one? So, but she knows that she has gone through that particular thing in the past. So she is still trying to find answers. How can I stop this manhunt that is happening in the forest? How can I stop that? So maybe that is going into her background. So she is trying to find those clues to stop this thing, right?
okay,
So at least have one idea for each chapter and then start running these prompts, because
okay.
then the whole idea will be completely unique.
Understood.
Okay. One second. So, Shravan, any questions for me?
Madam, regarding this tip one, you said, right? What about the other tips, tip two, tip three? Can we include these under this? When the bonus tips you have said, right?
The bonus tips, like, what I have done is, like, right now, ChatGPT is writing the entire chapter for you. But this will go ahead and give you an idea how the chapter should be. But I want you to refer and write on your own, but not write the exact thing, because with fiction book writing there could be a plagiarism issue, because ChatGPT will refer to previous novels and give you the same plots and everything. So maybe twist the plot. So when it says, like, in this story, say for example, one second, I'm just going through it. We have not uh checked done the uh okay. So for example, you remember, I spoke about this movie that I watched where they used to go ahead and try and find those glowing lotus that used to actually grow on that tree trunk, like big tree trunks. Okay. So instead of maybe having a lotus, what is it that I can use? Because fiction writing, you have to understand, when you're placing your character also, you should have someone in your mind. Like, in my third book, that was a creative fiction, when I wrote about Rachel. Okay. So Rachel was one person who was going through a lot of like, she was feeling like, pulled in all directions. So when I was writing about her, though I gave her the name Rachel, but I had a clear picture about one of my friend in my school days. So that helps you to bring that character to life. Correct? So where I want you to like, when you're more maybe like naming any damn person, when I say Maya, I will have some person in mind. I'm not going to name that person, but describing that person will make that story come alive. Okay? Try and experiment this. If you have any questions, put it in the WhatsApp group. But like into the next session, at least like write 4 chapters and come. That's your target. Okay? I'm so curious to
40% of the book.
huh?
It means 40% of the book.
Yes, 40% of the book. Because rest of it, like you have gone through it now, the entire process. And once you have done it, second time it becomes like cakewalk.
Uh, okay.
Right? So at least 4 chapters when we are running the editing proofreading prompts, things will be different.
Understood.
Okay, because in the editing proofreading we will be talking about the pacing and everything. It will go ahead and suggest revisions, and then we'll use again the same prompts that will help you to humanize content and everything. So that will take some time. Okay.
Now we may not need to humanize the content, right? For this
No,
first
you
four
would
chapters.
still need, if you are using the entire content the way it is, then you would need humanizing the content. But if you're using it as a reference and writing it on your own, you will not need it.
Okay.
Ma'am, for this also that editing and proofreading you have provided for non-fiction, right? That we need to use or
No,
separate prompts will be there.
there is a different stuff. That is what we are going to cover in the next session. That's why I said write 4 chapters and come.
Okay, okay, okay.
That's the only reason I've scheduled the next session next week, not this week.
That's good,
So it
ma'am.
will be Thursday or Friday next week, not before that.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So all the best, guys, with your fiction work. I'm waiting to read the first 4 chapters of your novels. Once you're done, put it in the group. So I'm going to read and then come back to you. Because I'm a reader and I'm going to go ahead and see how immersive your work is. Because in one session, I can't read all the 4 chapters. So I'm going to take my own sweet time and read all the 4 chapters. So ensure if you're planning for Friday, ensure your work is submitted by Wednesday. Okay. Or if you want, we can
Okay.
split after 10 days to be on a safer side.
That would be ideal.
Okay, so 1 second. What I'll do is today's third. So maybe 17th or 18th. But then by then you will complete all 10 chapters and give it to me.
Shravan,
Okay.
when you free, do 6 more chapters for me.
What? See, there is no need for you to actually write 10 chapters. You can always go for 8 chapters also if you want. That's absolutely okay. All right. So
Okay. Sounds great.
I'll see you then on the 17th or the 18th. We'll schedule it accordingly. All right. See you then. Bye bye. Good night. Take
thank
care.
you. Bye.
Good night. Thank you.